Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of The Great Ruler Season 2 Part 19 based on novel. So let's start. At the bottom of the spiritual light mountain, the clamoring of passionate voices rushed through the clouds were ringing clearly in a 100-kilometer radius. Everyone's gazes converged on the figures of the two on the stone platform. Being the third and fourth rank in the heavenly rankings, they could be considered influential people at the apex within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Facing such veteran experts, even the hordes of dark horses that had erupted in the hunting grounds would be unable to easily shake their status. Thus, their confrontation was, obviously, a matter that would make people's blood boil exceedingly hot. Under the attentive gazes from the crowd, Zhu Xian suddenly stood up. Her slender and fully alluring body created miraculous and bewitching curves. Her eyes were filled with chilling intent as she stared at He Yao. An arc started to raise from the corner of her mouth as she said, "He Yao, although your plan is not bad, I won't let you achieve your goal that easily." "What can you do about it?" "Don't tell me that you want to defeat me," asked He Yao with a cold smile. "I'm clear about Mu Chen's character. Since you've arranged this match, he'll definitely come. Since that's the case, I'll just have you waste some spiritual energy." With a clench of her jade-like hand, unadorned smooth and round jade pearl appeared in a flash, as the sounds of waves started to ripple out. "I truly am unable to defeat you. However, making you waste energy isn't anything difficult." He Yao looked at Zhu Xian, whose beautiful face was now frosty while strong spiritual energy erupted out from her body. His face started to turn slightly ugly, as he clearly never imagined that Zhu Xian would do such an unexpectedly thing. For the sake of letting Mu Chen obtain some advantage, she was willing to personally take action to waste his strength. "I warned you." He Yao's eyes turned dark as he stood up. Slowly clenching his fists tightly, the expression on his face brought a chill to people's hearts when they saw it. "You think too highly of that brat. Regardless of what you do for him, within my eyes, he's just a clown jumping on the bridge," He Yao said with a dense chilling smile. In the next instant, he suddenly took a step forward, and boundless spiritual energy, akin to the sea, rushed through the sky. The jade-green spiritual energy had seemingly concealed the sky. Under the envelope of this frightening spiritual energy, the faces of countless people in the vicinity had intense changes. This spiritual energy pressure? Did He Yao break through to heavenly completion stage? Startled voices escaped from the mouths of students as the faces of a few outstanding ones had deep shades of graveness while looking at He Yao's figure and were being overwhelmed with shock. This degree of spiritual energy pressure was absolutely not something that a heavenly transformation could possess. At the edge of the stone platform, Su Ling's beautiful face turned slightly pale as she clenched her little hands tightly. No wonder why Elder Sis said that she wasn't He Yao's opponent. She had already discovered it that He Yao's strength had already reached such a degree. Li Qing and Guo Xiong's faces turned extremely ugly as they thought, this He Yao had concealed this too deeply. Zhu Xian's beautiful eyes stared tightly at He Yao, whose imposing aura had blotted the sky. Her jade-like hand gripped the jade pearl that was sparkling with bright brilliance as she said slowly, "After concealing it for so long, you're still only half a step into heavenly completion. Just based on this, I'm afraid that you are unable to compare with Li Xiantong. You still dare act tough." As a cold glint flashed within his eyes, He Yao sent a large palm patting out. The spiritual energy of the world started to turn tumultuous, before a jade-green streak of light, approximately 300 meters wide, violent smashed down onto Zhu Xian without the slightest trace of mercy. Crash! With her jade-like hand elevated, an azure water wave swept out from within the jade pearl in her hand, before transforming into a whirlpool that surrounded her. Bang! The earth shook as the water tide that blotted the sky was dispersed by the pat. Zhu Xian's beautiful face turned slightly pale as she hurriedly retreated a number of steps. The gigantic whirlpool that surrounded her had been completely dissipated by the palm in an instant. As of now, her strength was at the peak of heavenly transformation late stage. This realm looked extremely close to He Yao's, however, there was quite a bit of disparity between the two. "Let's see how many attacks you can receive from me," roared He Yao as he took a step forward. With the intent of not showing the slightest trace of mercy, he sent another palm patting out. Boundless spiritual energy transformed into a giant spiritual energy palm before heavily patting down. The jade pearl in Su Xian's hand blossomed with dazzling brilliance as wave after wave of water erupted out. Akin to a waterfall, they enveloped her within. Bang! The giant spiritual energy palm patted on the water barrier, causing ripples to instantly form and extend out. Although the water barrier did not dissipate, it started to gradually turn smaller. Su Xian's strength was, after all, weaker than He Yao's. If not for the dense water spiritual pearl in her hand, she might have been unable to continue resisting He Yao's merciless attack. However, if this continued, being defeated was only a matter of time. Within the water barrier, Su Xian bit her lip tightly. Pouring the last of her spiritual energy within the dense water spiritual pearl, she tried to maintain the water barrier to the longest amount of time possible. As the water barrier shook, the ripples became increasingly intermittent, and from the looks of it, it was about to break and shatter. Upon seeing this, Su Ling's eyes started to turn slightly red, and her lovable face was filled with anxiousness. Bang! However, the instant when the water barrier was about to crack and shatter, a spiritual energy ray shot over at lightning speed from a far distance. It violently smashed against the giant spiritual palm that was pressing down on the water barrier, shattering it in the process. He Yao, you're truly getting more and more incorrigible. The fourth rank of the heavenly rankings can be considered soiled by you. During the time when the spiritual energy ray had suddenly swept out, a mockingly cold voice rumbled, becoming akin to thunder as it resounded out, as it rang across the entire region. Everyone violently raised their heads, only to see a number of figures shoot over from the horizon from far away. After a few breaths, they appeared in the sky above everyone, with the leader, impressively, being Mu Chen. Mu Chen! He has arrived. So is the Mu Chen that killed the Spirit King. Looks like there will be an interesting show to watch. Following Mu Chen's arrival, the atmosphere within the area instantly flared up as the gazes of countless people turned fiery. As matters stand, Mu Chen had already become the most dazzling dark horse in this hunt, while He Yao was a veteran influential figure. All of them wondered, in the great fight where the new replaces the old that is about to erupt, how intense will it be? Mu Chen, so you finally dared to show yourself, roared He Yao with a cold voice as he stared sinisterly at the youthful figure in the sky that made him feel exceedingly disgusted. Ha ha! I never thought that you'd dread me so much that you'd actually use this kind of method to make me rush here, replied Mu Chen with a faint smile. Within his laughing voice, there were hints of unconcealable ridicule. He Yao stared at Mu Chen. However, the awe-inspiring attitude shown on his face started to gradually turn indifferent. With an indifferent smile, he said, "You're indeed overestimating yourself. However, that's all right. Since you've came, that saves me some trouble. Hand the spirit crystal of the Spirit King over to me and scram out of the spiritual light world. If you do that, I'll overlook the matter of you destroying the headquarters of my Demon's Gate." Upon hearing that, Mu Chen started to laugh. With the clench of his fist, the clear, sparkling spirit crystal appeared within his hand. Its dazzling brilliance was akin to a clump of scorching suns. As the spirit crystal floated within his palm, a mocking arc slowly appeared at the corner of his mouth as he said, "The spirit crystal truly is in my hands. However, hand it to you? Who are you considered to be?" The clamoring noises ringing within this stretch of world had seemingly turned silent at this instant, as countless students were twitched their lips. They never imagined that Mu Chen would be impolite to that extent and completely not give the slightest bit of face towards He Yao. Hearing Mu Chen's reply, He Yao did not say anything more, and only proceeded to stare at Mu Chen with a gaze that seemed like he wanted to devour the latter. "When the time comes where I'm stepping on you, I hope that you're able to say those words." As He Yao's cloudy and sinister voice slowly fluttered out, his fist suddenly clenched tightly. Boundless spiritual energy rushed towards the sky, as its jade-green color filled the horizon, while frightening spiritual energy pressure started to pervade out. He was already unable to endure himself from violently crushing Mu Chen beneath his feet. Mu Chen's gaze had also started to turn cold and dark as he gestured gently towards Luo Li and the rest with his hands. Upon seeing that, all of them retreated back. Although they knew that He Yao was extremely strong, they were similarly confident when it came to Mu Chen. Su Xian had also retreated off the stone platform, and was hurriedly supported by Su Linga, who looked towards the two people on the stone platform with some anxiousness. Speaking out, she asked, "Elder sister, do you think that Mu Chen can really deal with He Yao?" As of now, He Yao's strength had clearly increased by a great amount, with even Su Xian being unable to deal with him. Although Mu Chen cannot be judged by the strength shown on the outside, Su Linga still felt uneasy and worried. Previously, at the Demon's Gate headquarters, Mu Chen was only able to escape with his body intact and in good health due to ample preparation, added with the fact that He Yao did not want to reveal his strength. However, as of now, He Yao had obviously not allowed this apprehension happen again. "Don't you understand enough of Mu Chen's character?" Su Xian said with a gentle smile. Looking at the youthful figure in the sky with her beautiful eyes, she continued speaking, "Since he had appeared here, it would not be that easy for He Yao to defeat him. When Mu Chen was only at the heavenly fusion stage, he was already able to kill that Bai Xian, who was at the heavenly transformation stage late phase. In addition, the former had already stepped into the heavenly transformation stage, as of now." Upon hearing this, Su Linga felt slightly less worried as she raised her head to look at the sky. The hostility and tension building up before the start of the great fight had caused people to be unable to catch their breaths. Whoosh! However, just as this kind of hostile and tense atmosphere was about to reach its peak, two rays of light suddenly shot over from the bright and resplendent spiritual light mountain, before appearing on the air above the stone platform. It's Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong. When the two figures appeared, the atmosphere at this stretch of the world instantly flared up, as each of the gazes looking at them was brimming with excitement and worship. Within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy, only these two people were undeniably the influential figures at the apex in their hearts. "Ha ha! It truly is lively here," Shen Sangsheng exclaimed as he stood in the air, while his long hair scattered around him. He had a firm and unswerving face, with slightly coarse eyebrows. A disdainful aura radiated out of his body, and within its appearance, it was undeniably unable to make people feel the slightest bit of arrogance, as only he had such qualifications. Contrary to him, Li Xiantong, who stood beside him, did not have much fluctuations on his handsome face. With his hands placed behind his back, he appeared exceedingly free and unaffected. "You guys, continue fighting your battle," Shen Sangsheng said as he gestured towards Mu Chen and He Yao with his hand, before turning to look at the crowd. Pointing towards the peak of the mountain, he said, "Everyone should know that the three great generals are waiting up there. Previously, I and Li Xiantong had already done an investigation. It's very unfortunate, however, I have to inform everyone that the two of us are unable to deal with them." Upon hearing that, the entire region instantaneously turned silent as countless people looked at one another as they thought, the three great generals are actually strong to such a degree, such that even the collaboration between Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong is still unable to defeat them? If this was true, won't that mean that they would fail and return empty-handed from the hunt this time? The hard effort they had put in for nearly half a month would all be wasted effort. Upon hearing that, Mu Chen's brows also started to slightly wrinkle. He thought that if even Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong were unable to deal with the three great generals and were to be defeated, won't that mean that the Spirit King Grade Spirit Crystal in his hands would lose its usefulness? However, there's no need to feel too much despair. According to the rules this time, we are able to have 3 quotas to break through the last pass, Shen Sangsheng said with a smile, before continuing his speech, which is to say, other than the two of us, there's one more quota. Naturally, this quota would be left for the strongest person amongst you all. Speaking until here, his gaze fluttered towards Mu Chen and He Yao. "Is there any benefit in obtaining this quota?" asked Mu Chen with a smile. Shen Sangsheng pointed towards the sea of students below as he replied, "If you obtain this quota, the hopes of all the people here would be placed on you, as you will become the savior in their hearts. If you're able to pass through the final pass with this hope, your status within the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy would not be lower than either of us." Hearing the reply, Mu Chen hopelessly shrugged his shoulder without showing any interest. In addition, according to the rules, if we're able to pass through the last pass, the 3 of us are be able to obtain a genuine Spirit King Spirit Crystal. Remember, It's a genuine one, not the Spirit King grade spirit crystal that's just born, like the one you have. Furthermore, our spiritual light empowerment would be at an even higher degree. After he finished speaking, Shen Sangsheng rubbed his chin while looking teasingly at Mu Chen and He Yao. At this instant, the eyes of the both of them instantly became brilliant and dazzling. This third slot is mine. Taking a step out, He Yao stared chillingly at Mu Chen. With a smile, Mu Chen replied slowly, "Scram." When such a clear and direct word sprung from Mu Chen's mouth, He Yao's face instantly turned somewhat twisted, almost wanting to rip the former into shreds. He truly did not know exactly where Mu Chen got all this confidence from and actually be so rampant towards him. Could it be that due to him managing to luckily kill a Spirit King, he possessed enough qualifications to step on He Yao's head? You untactful thing. A cold and sinister light shot out from He Yao's eyes. Finally, unable to endure it any longer, he sent a fist rumbling out. Boundless spiritual energy swept out towards Mu Chen, akin to a giant surging wave. Bang! Burning in black flames, spiritual energy surged and erupted from Mu Chen's body. Facing He Yao's attack, he did not show the slightest intent to retreat. Similarly, he sent a rumbling fist out, and the astonishing spiritual energies of the two violently collided in midair. A gigantic sound rang out as spiritual energy radiated from the point of impact. An ear-piercing bang resounded in the air. The spiritual energy storm was devastating, and expelled the air from this stretch of the world. Within this region, scorching fires started to light up within the eyes of countless students as they thought, the two have finally started to fight. The shock wave swept past Mu Chen's body, shaking and forcing him to retreat a number of steps, while He Yao had only retreated half a step. If the vigorous degree of their spiritual energies were compared, the latter had already took half a step into the heavenly completion stage. Even with the 9 nether flames fusing with his spiritual energy, which allowed Mu Chen's quality to rise to the next step, it was obviously unable to gain any advantage in a head-on clash. However, facing this, Mu Chen clearly had some expectations, as there was not a single fluctuation on his tranquil-looking face. A sharp glint started to rise within his black pupils as he locked his gaze onto He Yao. "Looks like your strength isn't as strong as your mouth." After occupying the superior position, He Yao could not help speaking out with a cold laugh. Mu Chen's spiritual energy, which was burning in black flames, was somewhat mysterious. Regardless of that, the latter was only at the strength of heavenly transformation stage initial phase. "Isn't it slightly too early to get happy?" Mu Chen replied while slightly raising his eyebrows. One could faintly discern a slightly silvery glow radiating from skin, while there seemed to be a lightning glow spreading out from under his skin. Low and deep thunderous roars started to ring out from within his body. That is. Upon seeing this happening, a glint flashed past the eyes of Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong. Thick shades of astonishment erupted from their eyes, before they shot a look at each other while saying in a soft voices, "Thunder God physique. This truly is interesting." Looks like Mu Chen had met with that senior within the lightning territory. The only thing is, to what degree had he trained his Thunder God physique to, asked Shen Sangsheng with some excitement. With regards to the Thunder God physique, he was naturally not unfamiliar to it, as he had also learnt and practiced it. He Yao had also spotted the change happening in Mu Chen, and faintly narrowed his eyes. As of now, Mu Chen seemed to be clearly more dangerous than he was previously. Bang! Radiating with a lightning glow all around his body, Mu Chen took a step forward. His body transformed into something akin to a silvery lightning bolt as he explosively shot out. In a flash, he appeared right in front of He Yao. A silvery fist, surging with spiritual energy, rumbled towards He Yao's chest without the slightest bit of mercy. "You dare to fight with me head-on?" He Yao's face instantly turned cold as he spotted Mu Chen actions. With a roar, he also sent his palm patting out. With the spiritual energy in his body being displayed without restraint, every action he did with his hand carried along the strength to shatter mountains. When the fist impacted against the palm, a metallic sound rang out, as incomparably erratic spiritual energy crazily swept out, akin to a hurricane. A violent shiver went through the figures of the two as both of them flew out hundreds of meters away. Clamoring sounds instantly rang out from below, since Mu Chen was clearly not at a disadvantage in this exchange, and had even managed to be evenly matched against He Yao. Mu Chen stabilized his body and rubbed his fist. After exhibiting the Thunder God physique, his body had become exceedingly tyrannical, being even stronger and resilient than steel. Although He Yao's spiritual energy was more vigorous from this exchange, it was obvious that Mu Chen had gained some advantage. However, the former was still truly hard to deal with. "Looks like you're not as strong as I've imagined." Mu Chen smirked as he mockingly spoke towards the dark-looking He Yao. At this time, he naturally wasn't restraining any forms of the attacks towards the latter. "Oh really?" He Yao's eyes turned overcast and dark as his body suddenly flew out, before rising towards the sky. Jade-colored spiritual energy circulated behind him, akin to a surging wave, and brought along an astonishing spiritual energy pressure. Screech! He Yao slowly closed his eyes. Following his actions, spiritual energy that blotted the sky erupted out. As it surged out, a sharp screeching noise was resounding across the skies. Under that crane-like screech, traces of the spiritual energy in this region erupting out were faintly discernible. Mu Chen's face also started to turn grave, bit by bit. Obviously, this He Yao had truly started to show his genuine abilities. Using the divine crane out so quickly. Upon seeing the spiritual energy that blotted the skies behind He Yao's body, the eyes of both Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong slightly narrowed. On the ground, the faces of Luo Li, Su Xian and the rest started to turn slightly grave. Mu Chen's opponent this time wasn't like the rest. As of now, He Yao's strength was more tyrannical than the Bai Xian that they had previously met. Wanting to achieve victory in this fight was not an easy matter. This fight might not be as relaxed as they had hoped. Rumble. Rumble. Boundless spiritual energy from this region of the world seemed to howl and twist akin to a storm. Suddenly, He Yao raised his head and roared towards the sky. The sharp roar resounded across the skies, while at the same time, a dazzling brilliance erupted from his body. As the glow extended out, it transformed into an incomparably gigantic shadow of a crane behind He Yao's body. The crane's shadow appeared to be approximately 3,000 meters high, hiding the sky and covering the earth, and its roar seemed extremely terrifying. At this moment, He Yao's eyes suddenly sprang open. A fierce glint erupted from his eyes as his hands came together to form a seal. The seal was akin to a crane flying in the sky, its shadow endlessly encompassing him. At the same time, an ear-piercing crane screech seemed to be resounding from this hand seal. Screech! As the crane screech resounded across the skies, the gigantic crane shadow behind He Yao's body rapidly shrank, before turning into a jade-colored feather plume approximately 30 meters in height. As the feather plume fluttered in the air, it looked exceedingly beautiful. However, underneath that beauty, the hearts of everyone started to have some palpitations. They had a feeling that within that feather plume was a great degree of frightening spiritual energy. He Yao raised his eyes that were exuding sinister shadows, as he locked onto Mu Chen. A malevolent grin rose from the corner of his mouth as a low voice rang out across the skies, "Divine crane out, falling feather slices the heavens." Extending his slender and long fingers, he slowly flicked towards the surface of the jade-colored feather plume that was slowly fluttering as it descended from the sky. The instant as his finger flicked out, a fluctuation that was visible to the naked eye seemingly extended out. As the weak hum became stronger, the next instant, the entire stretch of the world had been pervaded by the humming noise. The jade-colored feather plume suddenly soared towards the horizon. Jade-colored light extended from it. From afar, it looked as if the feather plume had transformed into a gigantic feathery blade, as an indescribably swift and fierce aura started to radiate from it. On the ground below, shock rose within countless gazes as they stared at the jade-colored feathery blade. The feather that looked seemingly weak and soft had no possessed sufficient strength and power to shatter the skies. Inhale exhale *. Mu Chen exhaled a mouthful of white mist, as he stared at the feathery blade that caused the skin of people to turn cold. At this instant, however, his gaze started to turn tranquil, bit by bit, as his hands suddenly came together to form a seal. Boundless spiritual energy condensed between him, transforming into a stretch of starry sky. A white tiger condensed and formed. Stepping across the starry sky, murderous killing intent undulated and radiated from it. As Li Xiantong looked towards the formed white tiger, his forehead faintly twitched. During the pact of 3 moves he previously had with Mu Chen, the latter had also displayed this divine technique. However, with the current strength of He Yao, which had far exceeded that of Mu Chen, coupled with the move he had displayed, if Mu Chen wanted to rely on this move to deal with the former, it might seem a little naive. Roar! The white tiger roared as murderous killing intent radiated out. This roar was extremely strong. However, it was clear in the eyes of the people that with the limitations of Mu Chen's current strength, the imposing might of the white tiger was faintly suppressed by the jade-colored feathery blade. On the ground, some unease and worry appeared on the lovable face of Sulinga, as Su Xian faintly wrinkled her eyebrows. It truly is a waste of a treasure for a deity-tier spiritual art of this grade to land in your hands. He Yao's eyes turned apathetic and indifferent as a sinister arc appeared at the corner of his mouth as he spoke out, wanting to rely on this white tiger of yours to block my divine crane Aoti's feather blade? I can only tell you that you're truly overly naive. Get it for me. He Yao did not give any more chances to Mu Chen, as his arm furiously chopped down as his cold laugh rang out. Bang! As his roar resounded out, the jade-colored feathery blade that was floating in the sky instantly started to hum and vibrate, akin to the cry of a blade. Jade-green light shot up the sky as the feathery blade faintly trembled. In the next instant, it furiously chopped down towards Mu Chen's location. Humph! Everyone was able to see that at the very instant when the jade-colored feathery blade chopped down, a jade-colored slash line appeared in space. A jade-colored glowing blade descended from the sky, encompassing Mu Chen in it. Roar! The white tiger roared, causing the murderous killing intent to rush out, smashing head first towards the jade-colored feathery blade. Roar! However, just as the two made contact, the white tiger emitted a furious roar. The torrential murderous killing intent was sliced firmly into 2 by the jade-colored blade, and the white tiger was also split into 2. The faces of everyone on the ground had also changed at this instant, as they thought, He Yao's attack is, unexpectedly, so ferocious. A sinister smile surfaced on the corner of He Yao's mouth as ridicule appeared within his eyes. Looking at the youth that was standing erect in the distance, he thought, looks like Mu Chen is going to get kicked out of the hunting grounds just like this. Facing the shocked voices that blotted the sky, Mu Chen raised his head and looked towards the jade-colored feather blade. There were still no fluctuations on his face, as his hands came together again, and his hand seal instantly changing. The torrential spiritual energy behind him suddenly surged as another patch of starry sky started to condense and form. While it started to sparkle, a bestial figure even more gigantic than the white tiger started to slowly appear. As the gigantic bestial figure appeared, a mysterious hiss that shook the world resounded across the world. A black wave, carrying with it cold, chilling air that was sufficient to freeze the spiritual energy of the world, swept out from within the starry sky. For God's constellation scripture, at this time, Mu Chen's hoarse voice faintly rang out. Divine seal of black tortoise. The cold, chilling air diffused out, covering the entire world, and caused the temperature of the surrounding skies and earth to plummet. The air had seemingly condensed into ice threads. Even the spiritual energy circulating between the heavens and earth had started to become sluggish. Everyone looked in shock at the gigantic figure that had formed on the starry sky behind Mu Chen. It was a giant beast that was fully clad in a jet-black color. Possessing the shape of a tortoise, it quietly crept forward. At its rear, its tail comprised of a long, giant black python. As the giant python stared out, it revealed its head, while a jet-black tongue flickered out from its mouth. As it crept forward from the starry sky, a black wave swept from it. A crashing sound that looked as though it had substance resounded across the sky. Divine seal of black tortoise. It was the second divine seal within the 4 gods constellation scripture. After obtaining this deity-tier spiritual art for such a long time, Mu Chen finally displayed the second divine seal successfully. This deity-tier spiritual art had finally started to reveal the brilliance that was worthy of its title. As he stood erected in the air, Mu Chen raised his head and looked towards the gigantic beast that had stepped out of the starry sky behind him. In the next instant, he waved his sleeve, as a chilling voice rang out, "Go!" The black tortoise made a long roar, causing the black tidal wave to instantaneously sweep out. Stepping on the wave, it seemingly transformed into a 1,000-meter-long gigantic black water pillar. Carrying along extremely terrifying chilling air, under the shocked gazes of numerous people, it brazenly smashed head-on against the jade-colored feather blade that was furiously chopping down. At the instant of the collision, the entire sky seemed to have twisted and distorted. In the next instant, an ear-splittingly giant sound rang across the horizon, as the black wave, as well as the jade-colored glowing blade, swept across the entire stretch of the world. As for Mu Chen and He Yao, it was obvious that both of them had to bear the brunt of the fallout. The incomparably erratic spiritual energy storm rumbled directly towards them. At this instant, the faces of the two turned seemingly pale, as they were engulfed within. Bang! Mu Chen was directly shot towards a mountain peak, his body laying embedded on the mountain cliff. Cracks extended, as the mountain cliff shattered, causing stones to crumble and descend. Struggling to stand up, Mu Chen wiped the blood stains at the corner of his mouth off. Thousands of meters away, He Yao was also in a completely miserable state, as more than half of his outfit was ripped into shreds. His face was alternating between green and pale, while bloodstains had similarly appeared on the corner of his mouth. On the ground, countless gazes looked towards the two that were flung back. They never thought that after the two had displayed such formidable deity-tier spiritual arts, that both of them would still be evenly matched. This Mu Chen truly is formidable. Even though He Yao exhibited his deity-tier spiritual art, he still wasn't able to gain any advantage. No wonder why he was able to kill a spirit king. Looks like he should be the most dazzling dark horse in this hunt. Formidable. Clamoring noises rang out as countless people in the region started to whisper and discuss. However, regardless of the topic of discussion, all of them had clearly regarded Mu Chen as outstanding. After all, He Yao was an influential figure at the apex of the academy. Furthermore, he was also a senior, when compared to Mu Chen. According to normality, he should be the one that would suppress and defeat Mu Chen. However, as of now, he had not been able to gain any superiority against him. From a certain perspective, this was a lackluster performance. On one side of the platform, Su Linga and the rest who had been observing, breathed a sigh of relief as they thought, Mu Chen truly has hidden some moves. If not, the previous attack by He Yao might have already ended this fight. This He Yao had already displayed the divine crane art, however, he is still unable to gain any advantages over Mu Chen. Let's see how he continues fighting. Su Linga exclaimed. As long as Mu Chen doesn't lose this fight, it would completely be considered his victory. Su Xian wasn't as optimistic as her sister. Her lovable face was still grave as she stared at He Yao, who was quietly cleaning the blood stains from the corner of his mouth as he stood in the air, his eyes turning more frightening, and Su Xian commented, "Don't look down on He Yao. He isn't someone that can be dealt with so easily." As everyone's gazes were focused towards the sky, Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong shot look at Mu Chen with slight shock. Obviously, they felt astonished by how the latter was able to receive an attack from He Yao without letting him get a slightest degree of advantage. "The deity-tier spiritual art that he displayed isn't simple," said Shen Sangsheng in a soft voice. His eyesight exceeded other people's, and with a single look, he was able to discover the uncommonness of the deity-tier spiritual art that Mu Chen had displayed. It said that he had obtained it from the Spiritual Value Hall. According to my estimates, it might be a middle-ranked deity-tier spiritual art. Li Xiantong said. He had crossed hands with Mu Chen before, therefore, he already had some understanding towards the four divine constellations scripture. A middle-ranked deity-tier spiritual art, muttered Shen Sangsheng, as the shock within his eyes became more evident. Within the Spiritual Values Hall, the number of middle-ranked deity-tier spiritual arts could be counted with one's fingers. Furthermore, the chances to obtain one was extremely small. Mu Chen's luck was really that good? In addition, Shen Sangsheng was also clear that although deity-tier spiritual arts were powerful, that did not mean that they were easy to learn and master. Even if some people were to get their hands on them, they would not be able to successfully learn and master those arts. For Mu Chen to be able to successfully learn this, it was not an easy feat to accomplish. Being unable to deal with Mu Chen even after pulling this move out, He Yao's shock must not be little, commented Shen Sangsheng with a grin as he shot a look at He Yao in the distance. This fellow has always been hiding his strength within the academy, and should be doing this to deal with me. If he only has such methods, he should not have such guts, commented Li Xiantong with a faint smile before continuing. Perhaps, he might have never thought that he would be forced by Mu Chen to such a point. Turning his gaze towards Mu Chen in the distance, he continued his comment, however, facing against Mu Chen, this does not seem to be considered as good news. While the two of them were engaged in their conversation, at the distance, He Yao emotionlessly raised his head. His eyes looked towards Mu Chen with extreme darkness, as his palms scattered the broken pieces of clothing on his body, bit by bit. I never thought that such a formidable deity-tier spiritual art would be successfully learnt and practiced by you. Mu Chen gave a smile without saying anything, however, some vigilance slowly started to surface within his heart. This was originally left for that fellow Li Xiantong. However, from the looks of it now, I've no other choice, but to use this to defeat you. A smile started to rise from He Yao's emotionless face, however, that very smile caused a cold shiver down everyone's spines. Upon seeing that, Mu Chen's eyes faintly narrowed. In the next moment, the eyes that were staring at the body of He Yao suddenly contracted. As the robes on He Yao's body were completely swept away by him, a blood-red rune surfaced on his chest. The blood-red seal seemed to be drawn by thick blood. Faintly, it seemed to form a blood-red imprint. The blood seemed extremely mysterious. Even though it had been exposed for so long, it still radiated a strong vitality while the blood was even circulating at a slow rate. That's, muttered Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong, their gazes both converged on the symbol on He Yao's chest that was formed by blood. The fluctuations coming from it seemed to be from the blood essence of a kind of spiritual beast. Furthermore, I'm afraid it might be one that is even ranked considerably high on the myriad beast record, said Li Xiantong. Shen Sangsheng softly nodded his head and said, looks a little bit like the blood essence of the heavenly demonic crane. The heavenly demonic crane, ranked 26th on the myriad beast record, muttered Li Xiantong as he faintly raised his forehead, before replying, I seem to have seen it in the spiritual values hall, and it's worth over 1 million spiritual value points. Looks like this He Yao had truly coughed out some blood just to deal with me. However, looks like it has given bad luck to Mu Chen. The Mu Chen that they had deemed to be unlucky was now faintly wrinkling his forehead as he looked at the scene playing out before him. Although he was not overly clear as to what exactly He Yao wanted to do, he had also felt some taste of fear. At this moment, He Yao did not care about other people and bent his head down to look at the blood imprint on his chest. Biting his fingers, fresh blood flowed out, causing his hands to be stained in red. In the next moment, his palms suddenly came together to form seals, while dazzling symbols fluctuated out as they appeared. Following the appearance of his hand seals, the blood imprint on his chest became an even darker blood-red color. In the next instant, it erupted with ear-piercing screeches, as the blood imprint extended. Quickly, it had already pervaded He Yao's entire body. As of now, his eyes had slowly started to turn blood-red, bit by bit. An aura that caused people's skin to feel numb started to radiate from his body. This made his appearance akin to a human-formed ferocious beast. Divine Crane Art, Descent of the Divine Crane. He Yao's hoarse voice slowly rang out. As that happened, the skin across his entire body unexpectedly started to split apart. Blood-red glowing feathers started to erupt from within his body, before finally completely encasing him. In such a short instant, He Yao's appearance had a large change. Blood-red feathers totally encased his entire body, with each of them being akin to a long and sharp sword, while an indescribable aura started to pervade out from him. At this time, He Yao had become extremely dangerous. Hiss! On the ground, countless gazes locked onto the greatly changed He Yao as everyone could not resist breathing in a mouthful of cold air. In the next instant, they took a step back as they thought, what kind of deity-tier spiritual art is that? Unexpectedly, such a frightening secret art existed? Mu Chen, forcing me to such a step. You can only say that you've courted your own death. Next up, I'll force you to scram. He Yao's blood-red eyes locked onto Mu Chen as blood-red light gushed out from his body. It seemed to transform into an incomparably large figure of a crane while spreading its wings, encompassing the heavens. As the blood-red glow erupted from He Yao's body, he seemed to look like a blood-red full moon. A long roar rang out, shattering the heavens as the blood-red light had seemingly pervaded the entire stretch of the world. Mu Chen looked towards the blood-red full moon that contained frightening power. Taking a deep breath, black flames ignited and started to burn from within his black eyes. Mu Chen's hand started to slowly spread out at this instant, and black flames started to gush out from him. A clear cry suddenly rang out from within his body as black flames surged out. In an instant, it had already pervaded throughout the horizon. Countless gazes locked tightly onto the black flames that had curled up and blotted the skies. Under the envelopment of the black flames, the temperature of the entire stretch of the world started to follow and rise. Screech! Another clear cry resounded across the world, as the entire stretch of the world had seemingly flared up. Under the gazes of countless people, a pair of feathery wings clad in black flames that were able to cover up mountains suddenly unfurled out from within the surging black flames. As the black flames diffused out, countless people cast their shocked gazes towards the horizon. There, at the place where the black flames were in a lower quantity, an incomparably giant big black bird had suddenly surfaced. That's... At this moment, the eyes of Shen Sangsheng and Li Xiantong violently contracted as they became filled with thick shades of astonishment. The 9 Nether Bird. This video will end here.